Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for our, gosh, what month is this, Mary Jo? June 2017 Tabs3 Virtual User Group Meeting, where today we are talking about the email statements report, that helpful report that you didn't know was there, and backups. Mary Jo's going to talk about the email statements report, and I'm going to talk all about backups, how to do them, how to save them, how to schedule them, how to use them if you ever have to. With that said, and without any further ado, I'm going to hit the series of magic buttons that will take us to where we need to be so that Mary Jo can start talking about the email statements report in Tabs 3. There you go, Mary Jo.
Okay. Well, that was a nice build-up for this report, wasn't it? I know we are all excited about this one. Well, if you're using the email statements feature in Tabs 3 to email your statements directly to your client, this report will be wonderful later on to find out exactly when did you send them, what was sent, and get that report back. We do have a verification list that you can print after you go ahead and send those statements, but then, of course, once that's deleted, that's gone. So we're going to come in, and I know Paul's got this open so nicely for me, but I'm going to show you where it is. So on the Statements tab, we have the Email Statements Report right down here. I'm sure it's also under the Reports somewhere, but I'm just going to show it to you here. So Email Statements Report. We, of course, have our first screen where we can go ahead and choose all the parameters we can for almost every single Tabs 3 report that we have out there. So you can choose a client range or multiple, specific timekeepers, frequencies, location, status, and open and close dates. All of those can be specific, and you can go ahead and pick that just like you can in any other report. The Options tab, however, gives us some more definition of what we want to get. We can define that further down to be even more specific. I want a certain statement date. I want to see who I sent to a specific contact. If you have an adjuster as a contact on multiple matters and you want to find all the statements that you sent to that adjuster who is the matter contact, you actually can go in and see that here by choosing that contact. You also can do the statement date range, the email date range, and even down to which users emailed statements. You can print this report in portrait and landscape, and you also can do the criteria page, again, like other reports that we have. On the Sort tab, this is very familiar as well. We can do this by primary, secondary originating, by category or none, and then also by the email date. So our secondary sort can also be by the email date. So we can have all of them for a certain timekeeper and by the date that it was sent. And then, of course, by the ID and the client name search. And we can start each report sort order on a separate page as well. So once we do this, what I'm going to do is go out. We're in sample data, and so there isn't really anything that we can really email out of sample data and get a report on. So I'm going to take you out to the sample report and show you exactly what this is going to look like. So on this screen, we've got the email date and then who it was, and then you also have the contact, the email address, and then where the file was named, you know, what that file was called, and then what the statement date was and who the user was on that particular one. So this will print out all of those for whatever criteria that you specified back on those other screens, and it will print out this nice handy little report so you can always go back and say, oh, yes, we did email that statement to you on such and such a day, and here's the person that emailed it to you. So helpful, handy, you can always cross-check, go back and make sure things were sent, and there you go. Paul?
Well, that was easy.
That was very easy. I know it's such a big build-up for this wonderful report, but it's really short and sweet. But it is helpful, and I don't want to minimize the importance of it because it is a very nice report.
Well, like I said when we started, it's the best report that nobody knows is there. In fact, to be perfectly honest, maybe we should be perfectly honest, Mary Jo. I don't know where we stumbled upon this, but I don't think we knew it was there. At least I didn't.
You know, I think it was there, but I'm kind of thinking now maybe I should be printing this report at the end of when I email our statements. That might be helpful for us.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, I think maybe. Just make more work for myself, but no, it would be a helpful report.
Well, I'm going to talk about backups. And so if we're in this report and we get out and then we go to update statements, for instance, which would be, gosh, I think it's right here, isn't it? Update, thank you. One of the things that always happens when you do this, why didn't it happen, Mary Jo? Isn't it going to ask me first? Sample data? Could that be it? Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. Well, anyways, many of the things that you do, it asks you, do you want to make a backup? So we're going to talk about making a backup. And before we do, I think Leanne has a question from somebody that probably is asking a question about this email statements report. So Leanne, you want to tell us what that is?
Actually, the hand went down, so the question isn't there anymore. I think it might have been an inadvertent click.
Okay. So you've done this before. You've gone to do something and it said, hey, do you want to do a backup before you do this? Because, you know, if the power goes out in the middle of what you're doing, you're going to be in trouble. And, oh, Mary Jo's getting me into a different copy of the software. And so what happens with those backups? Now, there's two different types of backups that you can make. There is a hot backup for those of you that have Platinum or Platinum SQL. And that hot backup will run while people are in the software. So there's a couple of elements to the hot backup that aren't there for a regular backup, in that A, you can schedule them, B, you can run them while people are in the software, and C, sometimes Tabs or AP or GL or whatever program you're in will go ahead and tell you, hey, this is really hard to get out of, you should make a backup, or this is moderately hard to get out of, you should think about making a backup, and they use a stoplight to do this. So it's either red, yellow, or green. And the green one, of course, means changes would be easy to undo. So maybe make a backup, but maybe consider not making a backup. So there are the two types of backup. And the one type of backup looks like this. And it will allow you to run it once and back up and then do whatever you want to do. And then if you need to, you can restore it. But the next time that you do a backup in the non-Platinum software, the non-hot backup, it's going to overwrite the backup you already had. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. You do whatever you're doing. It says, hey, you need to back up your data files. You say, okay, and I'm going to give it some sort of a description of what it is that I'm doing so that I'll remember what this backup was from, where it was taken. And I just say, okay, and it goes ahead and backs up my data files. Takes anywhere from 30 seconds to several hours. So be careful here. Understand how long your backups are going to take, especially in a hot backup situation. If you're going to do something and you need to make a hot backup and you want to do that thing at 12 and you know that your hot backup takes an hour to do, you should start it at 11, maybe even a little earlier. And then that will run while people continue to use the software. Now, if you're doing something that requires a backup and your backup takes a long time and you're not in Platinum, then you should especially know how long it takes, because you're going to have people locked out of the software. Now, another thing to know about backups, and especially about hot backups, is if you're in a piece of software that is not Platinum, or is Platinum, and you go in, let's say I'm going to get into a Platinum version of Practice Master here real quick. And you say, hey, I'm going to go into file maintenance. It's going to take like 5 minutes to do what I need to do, but it's going to take an hour to do the backup. If you go into file maintenance and decide you're going to do a backup, okay, everybody is locked out of what you're trying, moving around the software until this backup is done, even though it's a hot backup. Why? Because the minute you go into file maintenance, it locks users from being able to move around the software, because you're about to kick them out anyways. And so if you say, hey, I'm going to go into file maintenance and that'll trigger a backup and I'll just do it that way, even though it's going to take an hour, you're actually kind of erasing the benefits of having hot backup, because you've already locked people out. So the thing to do instead is go into File, Hot Backup, and do it from here, before you go into file maintenance. That way, nobody's locked out. It's a hot backup. People can continue to work. And then when you're done with that hot backup, then you go into file maintenance, you kick everybody out, you do what you need to do, and you tell them they can go back in. If you go into hot backup on the way to the file maintenance, you've already locked people out. People are already locked out of moving around. And so you've kind of erased the benefit of having a hot backup. Now, where do these go? I'm just going to show you real quick that a backup that is just in the regular software is going to go into a folder called backup. And I've not even done one in this version, so it's not even here. So if you have regular old Tabs, Practice Master, APGL Trust, whatever, multi-user, single user, not Platinum, it's going to go, no, that's all right. That's all right. It's going to go into a folder called backup right off wherever your main programs are. So if you need to preserve that backup because you say, hey, I want to make a backup and I want to keep it, even though I'm going to make 5 other backups this week and they're all going to overwrite that one I made, and then the next one's going to overwrite that one, and then the next one's going to overwrite that one. All you need to do is make a quick copy of that backup folder and paste it someplace else. That will effectively save your backup until you delete that copy of your backup. Because remember, in non-platinum backups, they are all going to be overwritten. It's a one-time thing. It's not, hey, you've got a backup, and then you've got another 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 backup. No, it's a one-time thing. Actually, I think it's a 2-time thing, but we're not going to get into that. I think there are actually 2, and you can copy 1. But just keep in mind, make a copy of that backup folder if you think you're going to need to keep it. Now, another thing to remember about backups in the software, these are not meant to replace your regular backups. If you have a power outage in the middle of updating statements and you've made a backup, then you can very quickly restore from that backup. And you can then go out and start over again. But if you have a hard disk crash and your backup is on the folder on the disk that crashed, then your backup's not going to do any good. You should still have a regular backup that you're making of your entire server or whatever folders are important on your server, your documents, your STI software, World Docs, whatever needs to be backed up should be backed up with some other methodology other than just this. Now, if we go into Tabs, and I think this is the, well, we'll find out one. That's the regular one, so we're going to go into this one. Oh, this is Platinum. Okay, thanks, Mary Jo. And so if we go in here, one of the things that we're going to find is that if we go into System Configuration, and we go into Platinum, that one of the things that we can configure, you know, we don't, yeah, we're in the wrong one, that's all right. So let's go into this one, let's go into this System Maintenance, System Configuration. Yeah, you know, thank you. We go into Platinum. One of the things you can configure is your schedule, your notification, and your folder. Let's start with your folder. Your folder needs to be someplace that has enough space, and it needs to be someplace that's accessible from this server, okay? It does not have to be on the server. It could be a folder that you're mapped to that's on another server, because sometimes people want to put those backups on a totally different drive in a totally different machine. And then you can tell it, once you've told it where to put them, you can tell it how many recent and archive backups to keep. So we're keeping a total of 6 backups. 4 will be considered recent and 2 will be considered archive. So when a new backup is made, the 4th one in here will be pushed into here. The 2nd one in archive will be dropped, and the new one will be in recent. So this new one in recent pushes the 4th one in recent over to archive, and that forces the 2nd one in archive in this example out, kind of out the back door, to be abandoned forever. So in this example, if I made a backup 6 times ago, when I go to do another one, it'll be pushed out and it won't exist anymore. Now, these backups are a little bit more complicated about where they're stored, but not too hard. They're in whatever hot backup folder you said they should be in. And then there are 3 folders: archive, failed, and recent. So your recents are going to be here. And I must be looking at a different hot backup folder, because you can see I've got 7 recents. And if I go back, I've got 4 archives. And hopefully I don't have any failed. We'll find out. Nope, that's usually empty. And so what I've got in this example is 6 recents, 7 recents, and 4 archives. So if I want to make a backup and then make a historical copy of that I'm going to keep for a long time, I just need to find it. And they're stored in the appropriate folder with a date to indicate when it was made. So here we've got one that was made on 6/26. A second backup was made. That must be the one I just did. No, not really. And 6/01, 6/26, 2017 06 26/01, 2017 06 25/01, 2017 06 24/01. The dates are kind of embedded in here. So if I want this one that I just made, all I do is copy this folder and paste it somewhere. Say again, Mary Jo? Yeah, you can see the dates and times here. Now, you can tell that this one's happening with some regularity. So let's go look at that. If we go to Hot Backup Schedule, you can schedule recurring hot backups to happen every day, on weekdays, on specific days, at a certain time. So if you want to back up your software every day automatically, just as a rule of thumb, without anybody having to think about it, in addition to the backups that you're making when you do it spur of the moment because you're about to change some file structure in Practice Master, or you're about to update statements, or you're about to do whatever, then you can go ahead and schedule those. Now, a couple caveats. If you're doing a hot backup on a big data set and you're doing it every day at noon, that might slow down the user's access to your Practice Master server or your STI server during the running of that backup. It can run while people remain in the software, but depending on how fast your network is and on how fast and capable and how many CPUs and how much memory your server has. So if you've got a server that's struggling when backups are made to also let people work, you probably don't want to schedule it for the middle of the day. You probably want to schedule it for 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 6 a.m. or maybe 6 p.m. after everybody's done working for the day. If somebody's still in at 6, that's not going to slow down nearly as much as if 24 people are in at noon. Okay? So be careful about how you schedule these and take into account whether or not it slows down your server when it's running. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. It depends on your server configuration, on the amount of memory, the number of CPUs that your server has, and most importantly, on how big your data is, and how many other users you have in Practice Master or Tabs or AP or GL or Trust at the same time that the server that the backup is running. So, I think I covered just about everything. The only other thing that I would stress is that we promised to show you how to restore a backup. You don't want to just restore a backup without fully understanding what you're doing, because you're going to wipe out what's been done since that backup was made. B, it varies from the multi-user software to the Platinum software. There's something that you run in the folder in the Platinum software, and I'm not even certain how we do it in the other because I don't think I've ever done one. 2 things. There is a KB article on support.tabs3.com. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and just search for restore, because I didn't go ahead and look this up ahead of time. So there's restoring a hot backup and backup restore information resources. So this is going to tell you how to restore a backup that's not Platinum, and it's going to point you to this article to tell you how to restore for a hot backup. So R11199 is a hot backup restore, and R11524 is going to give you information on restoring a regular. And Mary Jo says she's hovering over. She has 2 things to add.
I do have 2 things really quick about doing a backup when you're updating or unupdating statements. So if you do not have Platinum, and that message comes up that asks you to do a backup when you're updating.
Hold on, are you muted?
No. Very well. Anyway, well, I just wanted to just.
No, you're not coming through at all. Yeah, try it without the headphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Here she is. Say everything you just said.
Okay. If you do not have Platinum, I want to stress that if you do not make that backup before you update or unupdate statements, there is no other way to get around that error that you're going to get except to restore from a backup.
So if you have a power outage, for instance, in the middle of updating, you'll get an error when you come back in?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So it either update beforehand in the morning, or you're going to have to go back to one of your nightly backups the night before, and you'll have to do that from your IT. And if you don't have those, you can't rely on those, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
so
very important.
Be careful.
Good point. Okay, awesome. Well, that's it. Everything you ever wanted to know about backing up and restoring, hopefully, and maybe more. And that email statements report. Next month, we're going to talk about credit memos. Mary Jo is going to talk to you about how to create a credit memo in accounts payable. And I'm going to talk to you about verification lists. That's another one of those things that people sometimes don't know are out there. And if they did, they'd say, wow, that was very useful. I wish I'd known about that all along. So credit memos and verification lists next month. I'm going to take you over here and just show you very quickly that if you go to our website, which is attorneycomputersystems.com, notice my emphasis on the last S in the word systems, because it's important. Without it, you won't get to the right place. And if you then hover over videos, or even better yet, click on the word videos, you'll get to a place where you can see all of our video titles. And we have our live events, we have our Practice Master Tabs, World Docs virtual user group meetings, and our Coffee Pot webinars. These are all live. People attend them live, and then we also record them and put them out there. And we also have our 2 pre-recorded titles, the eBytes video series that Mary Jo does 3 of every month, 1 on Practice Master, 1 on Tabs, 1 on World Docs. And then we have the longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where we'll take a broad topic and go into great depth. Mary Jo's eBytes are little 3-4 minute videos on something very succinct and easy to explain in that 3 or 4 minute time frame. The Paul and Mary Jo show is the same sort of concept, but for longer things, where we'll take 10 or 20 minutes to explain in depth and take a deep dive into a specific topic. If you're wondering about for instance, Tabs 3 virtual user group meeting, what you'll find is that if you click on the more info button, you will find a short description of what the meetings are about, information on what would be the next, this is the one we're in right now, a description of what we're going to talk about, 2 different links that take you to the same place to register. So whichever one you click on will get you there to register. And as you scroll down, then what you'll see is recorded versions of every other Tabs 3 or Practice Master or World Docs or Coffee Pot webinar that we've done in forever. So there is a lot of content on here. You'll notice as you get down to the bottom of this one that there's literally dozens and dozens of pages. It stops at 3, but if we go to the end, I think we get to something, 21 pages of Tabs 3 virtual user group meetings, about the same for Practice Master, a little less for World Docs. You also can just simply type what it is that you're looking for directly into this box, and it will bring up a short list, or you'll get to see a broader list of all the results for that particular search term. So please take advantage of this video content. It's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for you to enjoy and learn from. That's all we have for today. Everybody have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the month, and we will see you in July. Bye-bye, everybody.